and welcome back to my channel where we're about that breaking cycles life. Now for today's encouragement, we're going to the book of 1 John, and it's chapter 4 verse 18, and I'll also read verse 19 just to bring it all together. And it says, "There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear, because fear involves torment. But he who fears has not been made perfect in love. We love him because he first loved us." Wow, that's actually very comforting. And it actually brings out a point that I want to speak about when it comes to our Christian journey and the way we perceive God, and the way, and it's because of the way that we perceive God why most Christians would come to God out of fear, or others would think that people are just in Christianity because of fear of God and what he can do to you and the pain, the torment. But honestly, guys, as I've told you many times before, God wants to be your friend. He's not someone that is just sitting on his throne waiting to put people into the lake of fire. No, he's not that. If he was that type of person, then he wouldn't come to sacrifice himself for us, because that cross on Calvary shows us his perfect love for us, and the fact that he wants us to be saved. And he saw that we were on a path to death, and he came to bring us onto the path of life, right? And I know many people perceive God as someone that you just have to respect, you just have to fear, and it's just do as he says, or else you'll suffer the consequences. But if that was the case, he really wouldn't need to sacrifice himself for you, because someone with that mentality will not think to do anything kind to you. He won't think to treat you in any nice way at all, because it's do as I say or else you'll suffer. And that kind of describes the devil, right? So what is my admonition for today with this verse? Guys, I don't know if you have gotten the wrong representation of who God is, but God is your friend. He is the person that you can be the most comfortable with. You can think of any human being that you think you're the most comfortable with, and you can just see that God is 10 times better than who that person is. And we need to start viewing God as our friend, because a friend, regardless of how many times we break his heart, he's still waking us up on a daily basis, right? A friend that is still feeding you. Imagine a human to human relationship, and you are constantly mistreating this person, and this person is still being kind to you, this person is still loving you, this person is still just sacrificing themselves for you. And then wow, like when you come to that realization that, oh my, this person has been there all along, this person has been showcasing to me what true love is in terms of friendship. It could be a partnership, it could be a relationship, a spouse to spouse relationship, or it could be just friend to friend relationship, parent to child relationship. We often take kind people for granted, and I think it's the same way we oftentimes take God for granted because he is super kind to us, and we break his heart on a, I would say, secondly basis. That's how much we break his heart, that we often forget. And then when we make our choices, I'm also a culprit of this. Like when we make our choices and we suffer the consequences of it, we oftentimes turn to that same person and blame them, and that is turning to God and saying, why did God do this? Why did God do this when we were the one that made the choice in the first place? Because God doesn't, as I told you, God wants to be your friend. He did not make us robots. He gave us free will, and in giving us free will, we have the power to choose to love him, to choose to become his friend, to choose to hate him, to choose to walk away from him. And we would just have to live with whatever choice, the consequence of the choice that we would have made. Yeah. But I'm here to remind you that God is not a tyrant. He doesn't want you to fear him, to be afraid, like, oh, I need to do everything he says or else. No, that's a perfect description of the devil. God wants you to be his friend. He wants you to look at him and want him, basically. He wants to feel needed by you. He wants to feel loved by you, because he wants to reciprocate that to you, and he already does. But many times we don't take notice of the fact that he is being that type of friend to us, and we take it for granted because in this society, once you have a kind heart, you're taken for granted, right? And it is the same thing I see in regards to our relationship with God, because we see that the punishment or the consequence is not immediate, as if it was with a slave master to a slave. Then we oftentimes take advantage of that opportunity or that kind heart, and it's what we do with God. Every single human being, because we're all sinners and we have all fallen short of the glory of God, right? So God wants you to be his friend. He is your friend. And I told you that since I reconsecrated my life to God in 2016, I've been building my friendship with him, and I am learning to trust him, because trust is not necessarily something I give out so easily. And that, imagine if I'm not giving that to a human so easily. God, like, he's still putting me in situations where it's requiring me to learn to trust him, and I'm learning. I'm not fully there yet, but I'm learning to trust him, to know that everything will be fine, and that he's my friend, and if he's a genuine friend, he will have my back and he'll take care of me, right? So this is my admonition for you, that I want you to start viewing God as your friend, because that's who he really is. He's not a tyrant that is looking to destroy you at the moment when you make one mistake. No, that's not the purpose of Calvary. The purpose of Calvary is to show you that he is your friend, because if he was a tyrant, he would have stayed in heaven and not made the way for us to move from the pathway of death to the pathway of life. And if we see God as our friend, if we start reading the Bible to see how he is as a friend, to view him as in not reading the Bible just to try and find the argument or try to prove or disprove God or anything of the sort, But read the Bible to understand how God is a genuine friend, and He's the friend that we can definitely lean on. He's the friend that will never disappoint. As much as situations would make it seem as if things aren't going the way that He promised they would go, we know that His word does not return to Him void, and in the end it will work out, because His perfect love casts out all fear. So we need not fear, guys. We need not fear when we're coming to God. If it is that you're struggling to come to God because you've gotten a bad representation of Him, that He's a tyrant and He is someone that is just waiting to throw you in the fire, please take that out of your head, because that's not who He is. He is someone that gave His life for you, and He wants you to be saved, and He wants you to be in heaven with Him for eternity. He doesn't want us to die, because the wages of sin is death. He doesn't want us to die, but He wants us to live eternally with Him, right? So yeah, God is your friend, and be reminded today that He's your friend. He's not a tyrant, and perfect love, which is God Himself, casts out all fear. And let me read, we love Him because He first loved us. Okay, so that's our encouragement for today, guys. Bye.